Hello, everyone. Welcome to Game Junk Prototype episode 32, recording on Friday, October 9th. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name's Andrew.
And a bit of a light week, but we got to get into the latest console wars news. A PS5 teardown that is sending shockwaves through the internet, leading to some tweets and deleting tweets. It's craziness. You might not be surprised, but I was pretty happy with the PS5 teardown. We'll get into it for one reason. And we're going to talk Polymega. Our good friend Jay Cheel showed us the Polymega, and he's losing his mind over it. Thinks it's the greatest thing that's ever happened, and we'll talk about it a little bit. That's about it, though. You guys doing all right?
Just
doing
fine.
Great.
Me too.
Getting ready to move. One more week.
Well, I don't envy that, but I'm in the middle of a bit of, renovations, work around the house in Animal Crossing. Got a lot going on. Getting some new residents, their houses set up, getting their requirements. It's a lot of work. Takes some time, takes some effort.
I'm very interested to hear all about your Animal Crossing experience.
There's not much else to say.
Very interesting. I can't
We'll
wait.
get into it. I'll tell you what, I play it every day for at least an hour. I'm loving it.
Very cool.
You know what? Let's get into it right now. I love catching bugs and fish. The models for the fish and the insects, I am in love with. Like the photorealistic, when you go to your collection and look at them, I lose my mind. I love the museum so much. I don't really care that much about like customizing the island. I just end up doing like these OCD, like chop every tree down. I need to start fresh. I need to do all this stuff. But I just found today, if you go to your animal collection, you can change like the view of it. So it's like a big scrolling wall where it's like huge sideways versions of the models that look like my old Smokey the Bear nature posters my uncle got me. Oh my God. It is amazing. Game changer. I just love catching these animals.
I didn't think about the whole sort of cataloging animals factor. That's right up your alley.
Oh, yeah. I remember the first time that happened in a game, and I was like, this is amazing. Any guesses on what game that was?
Pokemon.
No, fuck Pokemon, man.
The lore in Metroid Prime.
Nope. It's around that time, though. You're not far off, time-wise.
Pokemon
Beyond
Snap.
Good and Evil. Where you had the
Okay.
camera and you could document all the wildlife and track it in the game. That was amazing. I love that. And I'm loving it in Animal Crossing. The fish are so cool. They have like the best fish, some wicked bugs. I haven't even learned how to sea dive yet. I don't even know what creatures I'm going to get down there. I looked at the sea diving page and it's there's like 20, 30 things. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Now, I was a little worried to get into it because there's this huge fall patch in October, Halloween stuff, but I'm not seeing any of that. I think I'm still in like a starting mode where they don't account for other stuff. I'm not seeing any fall trees or...
Well, I think
what a disappointment.
I think it
I'm
depends.
glad. I almost didn't start the game because I'm like, I feel like I'm starting and I already missed the whole season of stuff. Like I'm not getting the like original starting experience. So I couldn't be happier with how this has played out for me in Animal Crossing. Could not
But
be happier.
I think it depends what hemisphere your island is in, and I think, is that like a random thing? I don't know how it works. I don't think it's directly tied to your location or something. Because I've heard
I should
that.
be seeing the fall stuff. I'm in North America.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not
The
tied
island
to
of
your
Brojojo
location.
is in North America. I think it is.
I'm gonna look this up. I don't know.
How that would suck if I'm in some other spot. It asked me in the game where I'm located.
Oh, it did? Oh,
Yeah.
maybe that's all it is. It just asks you the question because I think somebody I was talking to had theirs reversed. Maybe they just like
That I
for
can,
fun they put the wrong hemisphere or something. I don't know.
yeah, for JoJo's rocking.
Now
Come
let
on
me
by.
ask you,
Send Kieran on by.
does the toilet flush in the right direction depending on
I've
which
not
hemisphere
flushed
you're
yet.
in?
I've not.
Oh, okay. That would be the real
So I'm not going to
killer
talk
app.
any more about Animal Crossing. Just absolutely love the photorealistic creature models, and
Hmm, cool.
just can't get enough of it. It's the only game I'm really playing right now. I play a little bit of Mario 64, but I'm all about the Animal Crossing.
Beautiful.
Okay, let's get into it. PS5 Teardown. It's fucking crazy. People are losing their minds. I only saw a Japanese version. I really didn't watch all of it. I saw some articles and watched a video, some IGN propaganda talking about it. I watched that recap video. And to be
Now,
fair,
wait a minute, wait a minute. IGN was posting about PS5.
Did you,
Was it negative though? Is that
I think somewhere in the introduction to the video they said Xbox has been dominating or some bullshit like that the last few weeks. Okay, relax. It's dominating because you're putting all the news out there. Like, get real.
did you screenshot it? All the ads?
No, don't care. They were honestly pretty fair in the thing that I listened to and heard. No issues. I'm just joking around. But you know, the big fallout from this was to flip it from horizontal to vertical. You have to like do some minor physical adjustments, take out a screw, move the stand, do some stuff like that, which people were not too crazy about. And secondly, and a bigger concern was how fucking ginormous this console was. It's enormous. So they say apparently it's 15 inches high or something total. That doesn't sound that crazy to me, to be perfectly honest. But it did look big. Now, I didn't hear this as a fallout originally about the teardown, but you know, call me a fanboy, whatever you want to do. I don't care. I was ecstatic to hear one thing from this teardown. Those panels, those white panels, they pop off like nothing. It's almost like they're designed to be replaced with like
Any
either
color you want.
aftermarket or first party panels to change the color, customize it. Like I can make this thing black in a matter of weeks if I want.
Yeah, didn't I don't know if this generation consoles had that, but I remember the 360 had the face
I've
plates.
got a Forza Motorsport 2 and a Viva Pinata plate somewhere under the stairs.
Oh yeah. Well, see, that's interesting because I was going to say you were before we started the show saying how you were excited, how the teardown, had you excited. And I just was going to say, I mean, from what I remember, you did not like the design of this system. So now it makes sense. Now you're saying that the teardown revealed that maybe you can change the look of this system. And
I get my all black console.
I mean,
the only thing I didn't like about the PS5 is now fixable without buying a whole new console, which I probably would have done once they released a black version. So, it's going to save me some cash. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
What do you guys think? Is this a disaster, a complete debacle? Has Xbox officially taken the lead in the console wars? Now, okay, I'll let you go with that first, and then we'll get to another story Sean sent to me today that I didn't even heard of. It's probably being buried by all major video game news outlets that are basically being funded by Microsoft advertising. Anyway, what do you guys think of the teardown? Do you give a shit? Do you care? Too big to buy? Weigh in.
Go for it, Sean.
No real opinion on this one. Sad to say. I mean, I skimmed through the video. I personally like the look of the system. I agree it's a little tall. I'm still I haven't thought about how it's going to fit. I mean, where I'm moving to, I'm not going to have my sort of built in the wall. I'm probably just going to be using a TV stand, so I'm probably more flexible. So I don't really care.
All right, that's it.
That's it. That's all I got to say.
Well, I just watched the video, and I must say, this thing must be pumping out some serious heat. because it has 2 gigantic fans. Basically, the whole thing is a giant heat sink to help get the heat away from the CPU. And it also has like liquid metal cooling. Like, this is Terminator here. Skynet is born with the PS5. You know what I'm saying?
Well, now a lot of people are speculating that the biggest complaint with the PS5 or PS4, pardon me, was how loud it is, which I certainly can attest to as well.
Yes.
Even the PS4 Pro, if you open that God of War map, it is insane what's going on. It makes no sense.
The jet engine fires up.
Yeah. And there's speculation that that is all an attempt to address those concerns. Now, I'm thinking it's more what Huck was alluding to, that it probably is producing a lot of heat, and they're being extra careful about returns and quality. And we all remember the disaster of the Red Ring of Death on the Xbox 360 and wanting to avoid any scandalous stuff like that. But they were in the Teardown or the IGN thing I watched, they talked about like how big the fan is, and like that all of this stuff is all about the sound. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that the size of the fan isn't going to change the sound. Like, the fan is the thing that is loud. It's the type of fan. And I'm sure on the PS4, it's a combination of fan and the size of holes, like the sound of compressed air getting forced out via the fan. But I mean, the fan can still be loud. It's not just about, like, the fan has to be quiet on top of it being effective.
Yeah, and I think it'll probably get louder as it gets older and more dust gets stuck in it, and the ball bearings and stuff or whatever they're using
bearings.
Yeah, the bearings will start to get, gummed up with stuff just from, being out in the open.
Well, it'll get gummed up.
Yeah. But there were 2 like little vacuum holes, which I thought were kind of neat, because that's always a problem of the dust getting kind of stuck in it.
Got some ideas.
And it's interesting. Now, it'll be interesting to see if those actually work and will actually clear out the system well. But that's kind of a neat little engineering thing. And also, just in terms of engineering, like the microchips are just insane, like how small they are. And the SSD looks like a tiny microchip. Like it almost looks like, I don't know, it was very small I couldn't tell exactly how big it was, but it was no bigger than you'd think like a standard, SD card would be.
Small enough to fit in a vacuum hole.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I mean, it is tiny. Like, this is really, really cool stuff when you see this stuff. And I can't even imagine how much work went into making these microchips, because they're just so packed together. And I don't know. I'm just so impressed that these things can even get made, and that they run so fast and so hot. They're just pumping those gigaflops or whatever they're called. So
fast, so hot, pumping the vacuum holes. We couldn't be more excited for the PS5. Now, I personally, this will be the first two consoles when I eventually buy a Series X, that I will most likely stand vertically. My current setup right now, I would have them most likely on top of an entertainment unit beside my TV in my bedroom. So I'm not too concerned about the vertical placement. I want to give them lots of room to breathe, easy access to those holes. I don't want them buried in entertainment units, but I don't know. It is pretty big. I don't think I care that much. But Xbox's response in terms of the stand reconfiguration, I don't know if you saw this, Huck, but they said
no.
How you change from vertical to horizontal with an Xbox One Series X, and it was just turn it on its side, and which was
classic.
Obviously a joke in referencing when PS4 infamously, when that got revealed after Xbox's debacle with Kinect and game sharing, how you share games on the PS4 by
classic.
Giving physical things. Now, to be honest,
Xbox, hand them the game.
Sure, you can flip it on the side. You got this crazy stand disc sticking out the side of your console too, so maybe that's why they told you to delete it was a little embarrassing, quite frankly. Unbecoming behavior from the Xbox team in the UK. I'm over it, though. I'm completely over it.
What about IGN? Are they over it?
Oh, they love it. They're like, I thought it was, they were like gushing over the joke. Yeah. Get real. I do have to comment, though. Sean, I did not see this article. I don't know what your source was when you sent it to me.
Well, you know,
About
I do some digging.
73%, am I quoting it correctly, of pre-orders are PS5?
72%. Now, I believe, I think it was Colin or maybe even a couple people posted this in either the Discord or on Twitter. I'm not sure, but a few people sent it to us.
PC put it on the Facebook as well. So there was a bunch of people sending it around.
That sounds like it's 3-1. Am I crazy? That sounds like a number I said a long time ago and people were fucking laughing at me and calling me an idiot.
So just to clarify, so people know what we're talking about, a market research company called VGM did a survey from September 23rd to 25th, sample size of 511 U.S. citizens,
Good
gamers.
Oh, it gets better. Hang on.
Starting to get a little worried now.
And they asked, you know, if they pre-ordered and what they pre-ordered. And yeah, 72% went for the disc edition of the PS5, which is actually
there's one other thing. The 75 was only, or 72 or whatever, was only of the people that wanted to pre-order, and that was like 28% of the 511.
Yeah.
So now you're down to like 150 people or whatever.
I hate to brag, but my research might qualify for an article as well.
Yeah, I think it might.
Numbers. But every time I go to Walmart to the electronics section, I ask the person working. I like joke around. I pretend like I don't know what I'm talking about. Are you doing pre-orders for the next generation consoles? Like, I need one. And they're like, oh, no, we're not. I go, just out of curiosity, are people asking about them? Like, they're like, oh, yeah, all the time. I go, well, which one are people asking about more? Every time. PlayStation. Every time. Not even close.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you start reading into these numbers, I don't know really even what they mean, right? Because it's like, okay, out of the people surveyed, 15% said they managed to successfully pre-order a next generation console. So it's within that 15% that we're talking about what the divide is.
I'm surprised that every number wasn't 75%, 25, like literally 3 out of 4 people or something, like perfect math. The fact that they got a 73 out of this shocks me, quite frankly.
Yeah, but I guess, you know, ultimately, so it's only the people who actually were able to pre-order. So I don't know if that's an indication of demand or if that's an indication of it was easier to get a PS5 if you were actually trying. I don't really understand.
No, I don't think so. I think probably those numbers are going to skew more to 4-1 with proper sample sizes and adequate surveying. So we'll see. And if that's just,
you think it'll be higher? You think it'll be like 80%?
Oh, I think it's going to go higher. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was overlap. The interesting thing from the article was that it seems like people pre-ordered. Some of them that were asked actually did pre-order both, because it wasn't quite. It seemed like the numbers weren't quite adding up to 100. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Venn diagram action going on. No doubt.
Yeah, there was definitely some Venn diagram.
There's some venning.
There was some overlap of the circles.
Okay, that's all I really have to say about it. The console war continues. Have you guys been able? Sean was sending out links about when to pre-order a PS5. He's, really excited. So a couple of places are releasing more PS5 pre-orders.
I was just trying to help a brother out, Jay wanted a PS5 and Real Canadian Superstore had some going up
soon.
In a week or two.
In a week, yeah. I think, well, never mind. I'm going to take back what I was going to say. Anyway. Anything else to chime in on with the current console war state? I got nothing else. I can't believe we're only a month away. My scheduled Nintendo love affair is going to conclude. very shortly. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I lied. There's two more things we need to talk about. And one is legit. They're both concerning. One is more concerning. And I have to admit, when it comes to these upgrades from PS4 to PS5, they've confirmed today that PS4 save games will not automatically transfer over to PS5, playing it on PS5. That's not even a new title ID. Just, although I'm assuming maybe it is a title ID that you automatically get. I'm not sure. But I mean, their back compatibility, I have to admit, is kind of a disaster. And now here's the fanboy force feed coming up. With the Spider-Man thing, when they said your PS4 save game wouldn't carry over to the upgrade version of Spider-Man, I mean, Frank was extremely happy, as was Eddie, because to me, what that means is new title ID, new trophies, and I can re-platinum it, which is what I want. I want every one of these games to be a new title to get another platinum so that I can, if it's a game I love, re-platinum it. I don't want to continue my save. I want a brand new save. So I'm admittedly a rare exception to that rule, but
Yeah.
I got extremely excited by that, being able to re-platinum Spider-Man when the PS5 comes out. But I do have to admit, it's a bit of a disaster. Jay was asking about Crash Bandicoot 4 and how that save stuff's working and up conversion. I mean, if Xbox was trying to, really stir up the entitlement of gamers with back compatibility because theirs just works and is seamless, which I must commend, it's working because people are getting really mad about this stuff, which was basically, status quo for console launches in the past. Now people are mad about and they expect different features from a console launch. So I think Microsoft has done really good with that type of stuff. And while I might be happy that I get to re-platinum games, I understand that it is a bit of a disaster and very confusing. And they're really not mentioning what's going on. And I'll add a second thing with that Sean sent out earlier. The HD camera for the PlayStation 5, which I did pre-order, will not work with the VR. You need to use your old PlayStation camera, which also needs an adapter to plug in to the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
This
What that
is
means,
a disaster.
That means PSVR 2 is right around the corner.
Which I am
Maybe
praying to God that's the case. Cannot wait. If I will buy it immediately if that happens. Just for like a better display, I would be excited for it. But I mean, they're kind of fucking up this back compat stuff, and got to give advantage to Microsoft on this one.
I must say. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
Well, I was just going to say that the Cyberpunk is another situation where it's a little bit confusing, right? Because a lot of people are thinking Cyberpunk comes out like, is it November or is it October? I think like pretty close.
Right around the launch date. I think it's
pretty close to the launch. So a lot of people are thinking, hey, I'm going to buy a next-gen console to play Cyberpunk, which you can, but it won't be the remastered, upgraded version. That's coming next year. It'll just be a backwards compatible version of the last gen.
So because of what I was speculating with title IDs and stuff like that, which are basically unique identifiers for games on these consoles, they're leaving it up to the developer whether or not they want save games to transfer or not. And I'm assuming there's something in the SDK or in the tool set to make that easier. I don't know for sure, but they're leaving it up to each developer whether or not they want to do that stuff. So
yeah,
I guess we'll see what happens. November 19th is Cyberpunk. So you're saying on release date, I guess I knew that. Yeah, there is no next gen version of Cyberpunk.
that's right.
That's a big mistake. That's not good.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people don't know it. A lot of people just assume that there is, but they haven't been super clear about it.
But I know Call of Duty has already said if you buy current gen or next gen, that those save games will work. I'm sure there's a process to it or something like that, but you know, it just works on Xbox. You know, with the cloud saves, which are amazing.
And
And
Microsoft's been planning that for a long time. I think the cloud save stuff goes back to the 360, and it really is now starting to show how robust it is with Game Pass and the PC titles and now the cloud.
mhm.
Like, it's pretty amazing to be able to basically pick up anything at any time. You don't just need two Xboxes anymore and be able to just pick up where you left off. I mean, I have had a few issues with a few games like Final Fantasy 7. It's like a Windows specific version and that doesn't sync properly with the Xbox One. And also I had an issue with crosscode, and I think that is because I actually have played it. I actually have it on Steam. So I think there's some issue where it's like looking at my Steam save file, must be putting it in the same spot, and so it's not syncing properly with the Xbox Cloud. But I mean, those are such boundary cases. I'm not really too worried about it. But it, like you said, it just works so easily. You don't have to do anything. You don't even know what's happening behind the scenes, right? Like, there's no buttons to press. There's no cloud to make sure you upload it to. Like, I'm pretty sure on PS4 you still have to manually turn on cloud saves and everything, don't you? In order to do that,
Yeah, it
and
just
have to
auto
have PS
backs up.
Plus.
It auto backs up every night basically through PlayStation Plus. I gotta say, I do like the flexibility as well. Like I use that for like getting platinum trophies and reverting to old save data and being able to back up my saves on USB sticks and stuff like that for trophy whores like myself. I like the PlayStation version better, but I could see why a typical consumer would love the Xbox version.
Yep.
So I don't know. The gap is closing. 3-1 sounds about right from my initially projected 4-1. I feel like it shifted about one console.
There was one more thing people were wanting us to talk about. That was the trophy changes.
Oh, I mean, it feels like it's just a way. I think probably the problem with trophies is that it doesn't seem like your level's going up that much. Like I've been at level 21 or something forever, and I
Yeah.
barely even see any progress. So everything they did with that just seems like a response to make it seem like probably
Progressing.
influenced by seasons and battle passes and stuff like that to make it seem like you're actually making progress with a lot of these things. And I think they've increased the behind the scenes values for platinum trophies and stuff like that, which I love because I've got some. But you know, when you start doing stuff like that, makes me want to go back and play like what was it, Not My Mayo or something like that, where you just touch the mayonnaise bottle for platinum.
I think there's a lot more games like
I'm
that
getting
that are
tempted.
just.
It's pulling me back. I've been pulled away from trophies for a month, and I hear shit like that, and you know,
Got the itch.
They
Yeah.
knew. They knew you were in the Nintendo phase. They're like, we gotta upgrade trophies, get this guy back.
it's working. It's kind of working. All right, moving on.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's talk Polymega, which I had not heard about until Jay mentioned it to us. He probably spent a whole day researching it. He knew a lot about it, a lot. Uh, and it is a modular retro game system, which out of the box is basically a CD drive that will play PlayStation, like in all regions for this stuff. Sega Saturn, Sega CD, TurboGrafx CD, Neo Geo CD. I mean, like the Saturn thing is apparently a big deal. There was not a lot of great emulators for Sega Saturn. So you get that plus a center portion of this console, which can be switched out to play different cartridges. So Genesis, Super Nintendo, and NES, I think, are the same one. TurboGrafx, and I believe there's one other one. Maybe NES is different than SNES. Yeah, it is. Uh, but I mean, it looks very sleek. It obviously takes, I mean, a lot of things already convert and use HDMI for these old consoles, but you can also, once you put a cart in, basically save the ROM on an internal storage device, use original controllers with the modular bases for stuff, like, and they have their own version of a controller to use. I mean, it looks pretty fucking sweet. Now, when I tried to pre-order one before, Canada wasn't available. For the USA, yes, it's still taking me to walmart.com, so, and they're out of stock there. So I've been unable to pre-order one of these. I would love to. I mean, I haven't looked too much into the interface, but it looks pretty sweet. I know Jay was really excited that there was blurbs for each game. Really was leaning on that. You get the blurbs. You get a blurb for each game, and it has. From what I was reading, there is an internal database that has a lot of information. Once you've basically added that game to the system, it has records for all this stuff and is updatable as well with firmware upgrades, all that kind of stuff. So Polymega, are you in or out?
Out.
Out.
I mean, I love the idea of it, and having just packed up a bunch of boxes of old consoles that were basically in my crawl space since I moved to this house and have not left that crawl space. So I'm keeping these old consoles for no real reason. I'm not really going to use them. This is kind of an interesting idea just because it's all in one, but it's a little too expensive for me knowing that I'm really not going to use it. Like, it's cool to have once in a while because I do have some old games and I like just the option if I ever want to throw them on. This is a chance
to educate your children, Sean. First of all, they'll have access to Uncle Frank's Retro Game Lounge to take into those games. I mean, you guys are chomping at the bit there because you have access to an insane library of software to add to your Polymega.
That is a selling point for me, I will admit. And I mean, there's a lot of weird old games that I've never played that I've always been curious about. So it's kind of cool from that.
Wait for the 3DO firmware upgrade and modular edition. You can play a mercenary.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like, just the fact that they were able to put this thing together is pretty cool. But I guess a couple of questions. So, I mean, the one thing I brought up when Jay was first talking about it, and I still don't really know the answer to this. Like, I don't understand the legal zone that this is in because, they've gone out of their way to say that you can't use ROMs on this. You have to use the actual original games.
There will be hacks.
I'm sure there will be hacks. But even using the original games, I don't understand how this is legal because I know that there's some of these companies out there that have made like the SNES and NES all-in-one systems, and I think they all got sued. Like I don't think Nintendo is cool with them, recreating their hardware essentially. So I don't understand if this is legal, But the other thing that I read that is kind of interesting is they are setting it up so that they can have a storefront to sell virtual console games. So if people want to digitally make ROMs of their old games available through this system, they apparently have like a platform set up to do that. And I have no idea if anyone would ever take advantage of it. I guess it would probably need a pretty sizable user base for them to really consider it. But again, it's kind of an interesting thought.
I still can't believe Nintendo hasn't basically just restarted production on their old consoles. They couldn't be that expensive to make, I don't think. And just the price that some of these cartridges go for now is insane. I'm sure for them to make, a complete in-box version of A Link to the Past, I'm assuming it would cost them $3 and they could sell them for $30, and I'm sure they would sell hundreds of thousands of them. Like, you don't even have to design these games. It's free money. Now, obviously, you need manufacturing equipment to do it, but it just seems like anything they make will sell like hotcakes. I would buy all of them. I would relish the opportunity to buy complete in box versions of all Nintendo uh, cartridges, even with the Nintendo Online stuff. And I'd never play them. And kind of like these amiibo packages I'm staring at that.
Mhm.
Why did I buy these? I just can't believe no one's done this yet. Like, kind of a video game version of vinyl, but obviously with video games, those cartridges are proprietary, and there's an opportunity to sell them and make money. It's very strange to me that that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo is definitely, there's a million things they could do to make more money that people have wanted that they just aren't doing. You know, whether it's they don't think they actually will make money from it, or they just don't want to focus on old games. I mean, I don't really know why they don't do more stuff like that. But I mean, obviously, yeah, in terms of just the history of video games and kind of preserving that stuff, this is huge. And a lot of these old systems just break after a while. They're old, they don't work. I mean, people can fix them, but uh, you know, I've got like two or three NES systems because I think two of them don't work. So I think that's pretty common. And so to have something like this would be huge.
Yeah, I mean, I one of the reasons I don't play these retro games here is because everyone requires its own console, and it's so annoying to break out all the wires and hook it up to a TV. It's just that burden, let's call it, uh, just makes you not want to play. So to have something like this, like Polymega, is a no-brainer. The second I can pre-order one, I will.
I must say there are some videos on their website or on their YouTube channel that literally show them just like launching a ROM. So I don't
They put the
like you were
card in and
saying.
stored it on the system.
What's that?
They had already put the cart in,
So
downloaded.
this lets you dump the ROMs.
Yes,
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of
huge
cool.
ROM dump, bud.
I didn't realize that's what it was doing. That's kind of neat because that's part of the like big bottleneck of trying to back up like your library of retro games to a digital format is that it's so hard to do right now. I mean, I'm sure there is ways. I've never really looked into it too much, but it's definitely not obvious of what to do, at least to me.
On their YouTube channel, I'm looking at it right now after Huck mentioned it. Like, they are really touting this Sega Saturn stuff. It's a big deal.
Well, I
Well, no
did
one's played
read,
it, so
yeah, I did read in one of the articles that like Sega Saturn emulation is really hard to do. Like the PC emulators that are out there have been pretty crappy. So apparently this runs a lot of the Saturn games really well, and that's kind of new. Like a lot of people haven't been able to do that.
And I would be remiss if I also didn't mention the light gun looks pretty sweet as well. So you can
Mhm.
play Virtual Cop 1 and 2 on your Sega Saturn with
uh-oh.
this light gun.
Look out.
So again, like the idea of sharing your digital library of games with people, like how does that work and how is that legal? Like I don't understand that either.
I never saw that. You can share your digital library with other people?
Oh, I thought that's what you were talking about with like I get like because you know obviously Jay was like, oh well, I want access to the
Well, I'm
to the
sharing my
retro labs.
physical library.
Oh, so like we would just have to come over and grab the games and then rip them
Yeah.
to our system. Yeah, because that's the big thing is they seem to be saying like you can't use ROMs, and I don't think they're making it easy for you to get the stuff off of that system to a place where you could share it with somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's where the legal stuff would come in for sure.
Right.
And I think there must be precedent set with that kind of stuff in terms of legal, like CDs, DVDs, like anything you can take and rip it essentially, or do something with it. You just have to have access to the original stuff and technology that will do that. I mean, iTunes has CD ripping, so I'm assuming it's legal in in some capacity. So I don't know. I'm pumped. If anyone sees Polymegas going on pre-order in Canada, let me know. You know what? Let Jay know first. He's dying over there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it like did this start as like a Kickstarter or something? I
I
don't
don't.
really know. Like everything. So like when Jay brought it up, I was like, I haven't heard of this. Frank, obviously you hadn't heard of it. And like a lot of the big game sites are not covering this thing, which again I guess brings up the question of legality maybe. But I like it's been like the project's been around for a while. I think like they kept delaying it, and so I think it was like a Kickstarter or something, and there was some issue where the parts they were using, people weren't happy with what they ended up settling on or something. I guess
Well,
something to do with the how well it's going to actually emulate the original hardware. But
Apparently, PC Mag reviewed the Polymega. Gave it a 4 out of 5. Pros plays a variety of CD-ROM games from the 16 and 32-bit console eras. Backs up games onto storage to keep your collection together. Can play and back up cartridge-based games with optional modules. Excellent 2D sprite rendering and up conversion. Solid emulation. Those are some pretty good pros. Let's look at the cons. Expensive. No controller remapping options. It's too bad. Renders 3D games at a native resolution, then upscales showing jagged edges. I love jagged edges. Requires additional modules to play cartridge-based games. Duh. Whatever. 5 out of 5. You gotta read it. PC Mac. What a joke. Anyway, looks amazing. Need one. Must have one.
yeah,
It
I
might
must
be
say
out.
it's.
Like they reviewed it in September.
I know there was some videos on the YouTube channel from 3 years ago when it was like originally announced. So obviously it has been kicking around for a while. I also just found a Digital Foundry video from June of 2019 where they talk about it, and it says an in-depth preview on the title. So I don't know how what like I don't know when it's at. Is it coming out now? Is it actually when's the release date?
I don't know.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
it's October, isn't it?
They reviewed it in September, so I don't know. I can't find anything about it. I just want one, you know? That's all I want. Oh, whatever. I got Switch to play right now.
Yeah, I feel like I heard that it was this month, but I don't see it on the site.
Also, speaking of retro stuff, you guys were pretty excited about the new NHL 94 standalone uh, current roster versions that come with pre ordering the new NHL game. Did you pre order?
Nope, I want a standalone version. Now, so just real quick on that. So this is the NHL 94 Rewind, they called it, I think. And they did do something like this a while back, right, Huck? Wasn't this like a...
Yes, they did some sort of anniversary collection, something.
Yeah, I can't remember what year it was, but I think I bought the game that year kind of for that mode. But it wasn't that... It seemed like it was using like the current engine, but just trying to replicate the feel of the old games. Does that sound right? Or
Don't
am
know.
I
I never played
misremembering?
it.
I don't like as I don't think it was kind of like a legit, 16-bit kind of recreation. But I mean, I'm interested. I just I don't care that much about the new NHL game. Are they actually doing this, or have they done something like this for Madden or FIFA? Or
I think
Yeah,
Madden
they
at one
did.
point it happened for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I think the 25th year, which was I don't know which year it was exactly, but it was like Madden 25. They did like if you bought the anniversary pack or like like basically like the digital enhanced edition, whatever they call that, steelbook version, then you got like all of the previous kind of lower res ones bundled in the same thing. But I think they were just running on an emulator, like they weren't doing what you were
I,
saying
I thought
NHL was
one
doing.
version of Madden had an updated rosters version of like Madden 93.
mm, I it's not ringing a bell, but maybe.
Anyway,
I feel like didn't they do a version of the NHL one like that was released for Xbox Live Arcade as well? Like if I think it
I
was
don't
like
know.
just a real like simple like a 3-on-3 or something like that. I can't remember what it was now, but
No, there was one with similar graphics to NHL 94, but I think it was different. There was something where it was like, yeah, close, but
NHL 3-on-3 Arcade.
I played those. Those are lots of fun. I thought there was one in this like graphical style of NHL 94. Anyway, who gives a shit? Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's get into what we played. I've shared a lot of my Animal Crossing journey. What about you two guys?
I can hop in. I started the new Madden 21, played a couple games. Feels pretty similar to the old one, but there was, once again, like before these games are patched, I just stay away. There were some real defensive problems. Like I had one defensive play where I was doing man coverage, just straight man coverage, and my cornerback just started like running like he was blitzing, and then tried to get back in position. Of course, at that point, he's 10 steps behind the wide receiver that's now running down the field, and they just threw it wide open to him. And I don't even know how that could happen in programming. Like how would that make such a huge mistake like that? So, I mean, it was just real frustrating. It happened more than once, like similar things where I didn't know what the defense were doing. I don't know if this is like part of their way to get more offense in the game or something by having the defense be absolutely horrible. Like I'm playing on all Madden competitive mode. Like this should be the cream of the crop, defensive AI tactics and everything. And it's making huge mistakes. So that was really frustrating. So I sent that right back to the library and won't be taking it out. I'll just stick with Madden 20 for now, and I'm happy with that. I'm still got a franchise going with my brother that I've been playing, and I'm fine with just sticking with that. There's no reason to upgrade for me after playing that.
Take that, EA. Went right back to the library.
Yeah. Keep your money. I also have been I'm back on the Final Fantasy train like Frank was. And boy, that 3x speed, I'm loving it. I miss games like this where you can just mindlessly grind for levels while doing something else, watching a video or something, and you kind of feel like you're multitasking because you basically just sit there and mash buttons while you're watching something. It's great. I love it. And so I'm like, I don't know. I'm just near the end of what would be disc 1. And I'm already at like level 56 or something. Like I'm getting close to 99 already. It seems ridiculous that I'm that high, but I'm just like grinding out for magic. I'm following a trophy guide. I'm definitely getting all the trophies in this bad boy. And yeah, it's been going great. Love it.
This is Final Fantasy VII again?
Yeah, the original, like, or I guess the HD version.
Are you playing on PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox.
So achievements, not trophies.
Oh, I'm following a PSN trophy guide. It's the same game.
You're not allowed to use trophy guides for achievements, don't you? Is it Power Picks? Power Picks is the.
Let me check.
Actually, I don't think Power Picks had a great one.
Let me check.
I use something else for that game.
No, PlayStationTrophies.org.
Oh, dude, let me send you literally the best Final Fantasy trophy guide in the history. Let me rephrase that. The best trophy guide ever made. I gotta find this
For Final Fantasy 7?
Yeah, and it is the best.
Send it.
Oh my god, I just want to give them credit because it is phenomenal. Okay, I'll keep looking here. Sean,
yeah.
you go.
What do you got?
I think this is it.
So
yes, Jagged, Jegged, is the most comprehensive trophy guide I've ever seen. I can't recommend it enough. It will tell you like for the best the bromance trophy. Like, have you been working on the bromance trophy to make sure you
crushed it?
Okay, right. Just checking. Okay.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, and this guide tells you like the exact point system, what to do in each scenario, and if you're going through a walkthrough, there's a nice little box outline when you need to make these decisions.
Yeah.
this needs to be in a museum. To
This
quote Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, this is as good as it gets.
this is pretty similar to the one on PlayStationTrophies.org, actually.
But this one is so slick.
So this one has pictures. The other one did
Oh
not.
yeah, this one is the trophy guide to end all trophy guides. Jagged, thank you if you're out there. Sean, you playing anything, or you just
Well, I'm playing some stuff. Well, I thought I would mention, got to try Among Us last weekend. This is, the hot new game ripping up the streaming charts.
From 1998. I mean, 2018.
Yeah, it's like a couple years old, but suddenly it caught on with streamers, and now everyone wants to play it. And I guess I would describe it as basically The Thing, like the movie The Thing, as a multiplayer party game. I guess there's a whole bunch of kind of board games that are kind of like this as well, like
Werewolves Among Us.
Werewolves. Yeah, that's the one I was trying to remember.
Surprised, like The Thing, they're going to come out with branded versions of this, right? Like a Thing version.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I want a Faculty DLC
Faculty.
where you have to
That would
like
be
sniff
sweet.
Zeke's fucking concoction. I need that.
So the way it works, so it's free to download on iOS and Android. It's like $5, I think, on Steam, and it's multi-platform. And so you play with like 4 to 10 people, something like that, and you can kind of choose your settings, but you can have either one or more people that are imposters on a ship, basically like a spaceship. And so the round starts, and you get told if you're an imposter or not. And if you're not, you kind of just have these tasks you've got to go around doing on the ship. And they're just very menial, like go to this point, press this button, or there's sometimes little mini games and things. And meanwhile, the imposter is going along, and they can either start killing crew members or they can sabotage the ship. And you can basically, if you find a dead body, or I think once a game, everybody has the option to call a meeting. And when you call a meeting, everybody gets to vote on who they think the imposter is. And so it's kind of just this fun social thing. And like sometimes you might see somebody hanging out in a suspicious area. But I mean, the thing that's a little weird about the game for me is, so like we were talking on Zoom together while we were playing, but we kind of had the rule that, when we're in a round, don't talk, because you don't want to give things away, right? Like if somebody kills you, you obviously know who the imposter is, but it's not really fair. You can't just...
The imposter.
Sorry?
The imposter. You don't say imposter, you say the imposter.
The imposter. So you know who they are, but it's like it ruins the game if you just shout out, "Oh, Frank's the imposter." Well, yeah, that ruins the game. So I don't like, you kind of have to make your own internal rules to deal with that. And I don't really know, like it's weird. I guess maybe the game is set up, like I think a lot of people also play on like talking on Discord, but from what I've heard, if you just kind of go online and try to play with a bunch of random people, there's a lot of people cheating because, people are talking to each other with their friends and they're like, oh yeah, I saw this guy killed, it's this guy. So it's like, that's not really that fun. Kind of ruins the game. So I don't know if like the actual, like if you just played with no chat whatsoever, other than like, I think there's a text chat in the game, maybe that might be the proper way to play, and you wouldn't have to sort of enforce these rules yourself. But I don't know. That's the one thing that stuck out to me as a little weird. Like it was a lot of fun, but it just seemed like I want to yell out when things happen, and you kind of just have to be quiet. And it was a little weird. But yeah, it's definitely more fun when you are the imposter and you're actually, sneaking around. You can like jump in vents and move from room to room and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. So that was Among Us. And I guess the other thing I'll mention I've been playing a fair bit of is Super Mario Galaxy. I know, Frank, you've been playing Mario 64, I think, right? From
You
the
didn't
3D
start with
All-Stars?
64? You didn't work your way through the collection?
No, I jumped right to Galaxy. That was the one I was most excited to play. I had always meant to play it on the Wii and never got around to it. And so we were talking before about how does it work with some of the motion controls where you have to like point at the screen to shoot the star bits or whatever. And so I was playing handheld on the Switch, and you just use the touch screen and just can touch where the stars are to collect them and tap on the screen to shoot them, which works quite nice. Of course, Frank was like, well, what if you don't play handheld? And I don't know. I think you can, with the Pro Controller, still aim.
Yeah,
but
I
it
mean,
seems
you
a little
can.
weird.
Like I've been playing some Mario Tennis Aces, and the aiming, and Zelda has it too. It's pretty responsive, so I could see it working not too bad.
Yeah. But I mean, it's nice to be able to, I don't know, there's certain other things that were only motion controls on the Wii that are just buttons now, which is kind of nice. And it's a cool game. It's a little weird, like just getting your head around walking around these planets that are spherical in shape, or sometimes other weirder shapes. And you kind of want to be able to control the camera sometimes, and you can't always. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. It's a little. I always find that weird. Like I'll go to try to move the camera and it won't let me, but in certain places it will. But it's just such a strange Mario game, and like the design of the levels is very interesting, and I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of, you can play little bite-sized missions with, collecting a star takes maybe 10 minutes. So
did
it's
you
kind
ever
of
play
nice.
Super Mario 3D Worlds on the Wii U?
Yep.
Yeah. Because apparently it's the director of design on Galaxy and Galaxy 2. He also was director of design on 3D Worlds, and I'm really excited. I loved 3D Worlds when I played it, but I was watching a video about the design in that game, and I can't wait for that remake to come out.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked 3D World as well. I mean, I don't think I beat it. I feel like I got right to like the last world.
Did you get to the moment of the game, one of the best video game moments I've ever experienced?
I don't know.
With Bowser at the end of the game? I can't believe I
don't.
didn't see it coming. I must have talked about it on this podcast.
What? You're going to spoil it for everybody?
No, I'm not, because it's getting remade. But
I mean, I don't think I
the
beat it.
final
So
boss is one of the
very-
best things one of the best moments I've ever experienced in a video game.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Maybe I got to go finish it.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember doing the artwork for a Mario 3D Worlds episode of Game Junk with Catsuit Mario. So we did talk about it.
Wasn't that
Cool.
wouldn't that have been for whatever, the one that came out on Odyssey? Because didn't
No.
that have a cat suit?
No.
No? Okay. Well, whatever.
I'm sure we talked about both.
Yeah. All right, do you have anything else, Sean?
No, that's about it.
I've been trying to play through some of these tons of games that I have installed on my computer, from like all the free Epic Store and all the stuff from Steam I'm getting in the Xbox Store. So I played through, I think I talked about it a little bit before, the Hypnospace Outlaw game, which is like the 80s computer style, or I guess maybe 90s. And you're trying to basically like find propaganda and rule breakers on like the web, quote unquote. And I thought the aesthetic was kind of cool, but once I started playing it a little more, I just really fell off it. It was basically like search through a bunch of websites for like certain images or certain words. And after I did like the first two, I was like, okay, I'm done. That was enough for me. So it just took so long to find the stuff, because they give you it. They don't really limit you. They don't like give you a tutorial right away. The tutorial is like, go find it in like these 25 web pages. And so you spend a lot of time. Like if you don't find it right away, you're basically spending like half an hour, like just perusing this, like whatever junk the guy decided to make up. And it wasn't really that enjoyable. And then I tried another game called Pathway. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. It's sort of like FTL meets Indiana Jones meets XCOM. And so you like start off with a like easy, quote unquote easy task, and then you have this like graph that spreads out from the start, and you basically choose which route you want, almost like Slay the Spire, where you kind of choose which path you want to go down. And then at each node in the graph, there's either like a potential battle or a potential treasure or nothing, and you basically have to try to get to the end and then like rescue someone or whatever the goal is. But if you get into a battle, then it becomes like an XCOM style fight, turn-based battle, and you have like 3 guys, and
so it's like a turn-based strategy roguelike, it looks like, basically.
Yeah, exactly, basically, yeah. And so basically once you complete a task or whatever you call it, a mission, then the next mission opens up. So you basically have to keep doing mission 1 over and over until you beat it, which I think is pretty similar to Slay the Spire, isn't it? Where you like defeat the first castle or whatever, and then you can move on to the next castle or the next level or something. Does that ring a bell?
There's different levels of the castle within the run.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of roguelikes have that. Round Guard had it as well.
Yeah, so you have like some sort of like mini goal within the overarching goal of the game. FTL didn't really have that. From what I recall, it was basically like one run was the whole game. There was no sort of like extra mission. But I thought it was pretty fun. I don't know if I'll go back to it, but it was pretty neat. And I like the art style. And they seem to have a lot of very like Indiana Jones-esque sort of like desert motifs and Germans and all that stuff, you know, Nazi stuff. So it fit right in with that feel. And then the last thing I've been playing, which probably no one has heard of, is a game called AI, the Somnium Files.
I've heard of it. Did this just come out or something? Or did you mention? Maybe you mentioned it to us.
Maybe I did mention it to you guys. I think it was offline, but yeah. So it's like a detective game, but it basically, if you think of Snatcher, the movie Snatch, or the game Snatcher from Hideo Kojima, and he did another game called Police Knots. It's basically a visual novel / point and click adventure, and it feels just like it because there's so many like over the top sexual innuendo jokes, just like Kojima does, and every woman has like super exaggerated, you know, hips and breasts, and it's pretty over the top and disgusting from that point of view. And then there is this other aspect of it where you're basically just going through the dialogue motions, picking your choices, and then, you know, you're pixel hunting in a scene, which is not really that interesting. But then it sort of switches to this, you go into like the dream world or whatever you call it, the Somnium, and then you basically change the game into this third person, almost like exploration game, where you need to run around and kind of figure out these puzzles to unlock these mental locks, they call them. Basically, it's just like story progression puzzles. And it's kind of interesting because it has this mechanic where as you move, time ticks down, almost like Super Hot, where the more you move, the faster time goes. And then each action, so when let's say you get to like a switch, and you can choose to like press a button, kick it, or punch it, and each of those is a different amount of time that it takes to do that action. And so for each of these sort of like puzzles, you only have, I think it's like 6 minutes to solve the puzzles. And there's a story thing behind that. But so that mechanic is kind of interesting. I was actually playing around with a mechanic like that for one of my prototypes. And it's interesting that this game does it. It doesn't really work very well, which is helpful for me, because then I know maybe not to go down this route in the prototype anymore. Exactly. So, but yeah, it's sort of like Snatcher, but a bit more anime. And yeah, the puzzle aspects are neat, but it almost seems like your best option is always just to pick the action that costs the most time. That always seems to be the solution. It's not necessarily obvious because they have this weird thing where it's in a dream world. So non-obvious things are the solution. Like, oh, you want to kick this box, and then it flies across the screen because gravity doesn't really apply, and then it knocks over the thing you need to knock over, and you never would really guess that logically. So you almost basically just want to pick the most expensive thing and then use that. So that part, it kind of falls down a bit. But overall, I think I'm, maybe a third of the way through, half the way through. I'm gonna keep playing it. I kind of like it, and it's weird. It's definitely not for everyone. That's for sure. And
The genre
yeah,
listed here says like visual novel or sorry,
yeah,
interactive novel or something like that.
yeah. I would say that would be probably your best categorization. There is just this like 3D third person. I wouldn't call it action, but it's third person exploration puzzle
Related game
thing.
searches are around the Zero Escape series, it looks like.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the same team that does that. That's it for me.
Cool. Anything else for you, Sean?
No. I mean, playing Ghost of Tsushima, but nothing really to say yet.
Okay, cool. Mario 64. I haven't played Zelda in a week, so that must say something. I keep meaning to play it, but it's all about Animal Crossing right now. So
Nice.
all right, that's gonna wrap it up. Hopefully next week, well, I'm sure there'll always be news on the fronts of the console war. There'll be something to talk about. So hopefully a couple fucking megatons or debacles get started up this week. Although we may not be recording next week, or it might be in a different capacity. So stay tuned, or don't potentially. But do check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/GameJunk, where you can see me browse the internet while they're talking. Huck's talking about whatever game he's been playing. I try to see what the fuck is this guy talking about. Play some real games, loser.
I know. Thrilling entertainment I'm bringing to the show.
No, I'm just kidding. I haven't heard of any of these games, man.
I know. I'm
We
trying.
gotta
all
start
these weird ones
using
out.
like we could be showing like screenshots of games we're talking about or something. Maybe I don't know. It seems
sounds
like a lot of work, but we could do it theoretically.
That'd be your job, Frank. You're the host.
Well, I could have a laptop where I just share that screen and it's like a fourth person in the Zoom call or something like that.
Yeah, like we just want to see what you're looking at while you're browsing the web. That's all.
Yeah, I want you to. Let's just say if my search history, if I look at it right now, vacuum holes. Okay. Anyway, that's going to do it for this week. We'll talk to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh yeah, I tried that. Have you guys tried that Getting Over It game? Where you're like that
Sounds
guy
familiar.
in the black cauldron and you're like trying to climb a hill with a sledgehammer?
No.
I can't hear you talking to your mic.
Is it like a co-op kind of game or something?
Yeah, it's by the same guy.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's by the same guy. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah. I had carpal tunnel after like 10 minutes. It was so brutal on my wrist for the mouse, because you're like it's pretty good.
Oh, I've heard of this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty good, like the game mechanics, but they're just you're so tense and like finicky trying to like move your mouse in just the right way that it was brutal. I don't recommend
That
it.
guy did Ape Out as well.
Oh, did he?
I know. When I look at Bennett Foddy, the publisher on Steam, it's the same publisher as Ape Out.
Maybe he did then.